In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how you can create these holiday alcohol ink embellished letters. They look great on your mantle, so stick around, that's coming up next. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Art with Jane Monteith. Today I am in holiday mode. Yes, Christmas is not that far away, so I thought I'd get right to creating some Christmas projects, and I thought I'd share this one with you today. And this is lettering that has been finished with alcohol ink and other sorts of embellishments. So I'm going to be sharing with you how I created these, and you can put these on your mantle, shelf, whatever you'd like to do. They look really pretty with some Christmas lights around them as well. So let's get started, and I'll share with you all of the things that you need to create this look today. Okay, there is the snow, everybody. It snowed today, so I am now in Christmas mode. I know it's pretty early for some people, but you know what? I figure now is a better time than any to get going on Christmas projects. So these are the things that you're going to need today. And of course, as I mentioned, you don't have to do this for Christmas. It can be seasonal. You can do somebody's name for, you know, a wall or bedroom or a gift or whatever you want to do. So you need to buy these little letters that you can pick up at Michael's or online. And the great thing about these is that they are already primed and ready to go. So you don't need to do anything to them. So this is great for alcohol ink because the surface is really super smooth and the ink is going to sit really, really well on this. So it's the perfect application for alcohol ink. And as you can see here, I've already started one, and you can brush it on, you can also pour it on, and that's what we're going to do today. And other than your letters, you're going to need these other tools. And as many of you know, I was actually away last week in sunny Florida. I had an awesome time, and I visited Hobby Lobby, which is basically the equivalent of Michael's here in Canada. And I picked up these amazing tools. This is a really heavy-duty, hardcore press or die cutter. This is awesome. I got two, so I'm going to be using this one today, branches, and then I also picked up a really cool circular one as well. So we're going to be using those. And you really want to get the heavy duty ones because of Yupo paper. You want to make sure that you're able to cut through. As you know, or maybe you don't know, Yupo paper is actually a plastic. It's a plastic paper, and it doesn't rip or tear. So it's actually a little bit harder to use cutters and things with. So you want to make sure you have a heavy duty cutter. Then I also picked up these really cool, they're called doodle sticks, and they are plastic tips on the edge, and you can use them with many mediums to move around paint and other mediums onto your surface. And these are awesome to use. I really like them because you have amazing control, and you can do all kinds of different techniques with them. So I'll be using these today. These are called doodle sticks. And then also I picked up a splatter brush, which is the Holtz line, from the Holtz line, Tim Holtz Ranger products. It's used for just splattering paint or ink or whatever you want to use, but it's also good for brushing and stuff. So I'm going to be using that as well. And then, of course, my inks, which are, of course, as you well know, the Jacquard Panada line. All of these products, as I always mention, are listed in the description box below. So if you want to purchase anything, feel free to do that. Okay, and then lastly, I'm going to be using just my spray bottle for my blending solution. I really like that as well. All right, I am starting off with just some new handmade textures. I'm going to be doing some gold, and then I'm going to interchange the lettering with pinky red and gold, and vice versa. So I'm obviously spelling Christmas today, or Xmas. Christmas was obviously too long for this project to do, so I'm just doing 4 letters here. So I think what I'm going to start off by doing is just finishing off my gold texture here. So quite simply, just placing some gold onto my paper, and you can do it, you know, however you'd like. I do have a video on metallic ink effects if you want to check that out. It's specifically for gold, and I like to spray on this blending solution. It just, I don't know, it really helps it along, spreading the ink out just sort of speeds up the process. So I'm going to be going and moving this around here on the paper, and I'm actually losing light already today. So I apologize if it's a little dark for you guys. It is getting darker by the day. It's scary. 5 o'clock rolls around and it's dark. Okay, so I think I will go ahead and just let that dry, but I'll just show you one of the doodle sticks here that I mentioned. And they come in, like I said, a number in a pack, but you can really, you know, move your ink around. You can draw into it, do different techniques. You can drop more ink with, you know, the tip of this onto your page. And then, of course, depending on how long you let it dry in between stages, then that also produces a different effect. So yeah, this is probably one of my favorite tools right now. I have other videos where I've used coffee cup lids, and then, you know, people can use spatulas and all kinds of things, but anything with a rubber tip or a non-porous works great. But these are really probably up there in my top 10 tools to use for alcohol ink. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and let that dry, and then what I'm going to do is just move this aside here quickly. And I'm going to start painting on this one also with gold, because here I've done red and a darker red on top, or actually a pink. And so for the M, I'm going to start doing the same kind of technique. So all I did here really is just to drop the ink on, and you don't need anything else here. Now I'm going to go ahead and get a brush and just start spreading this around. Actually, I'll just use the doodle stick too. And I'll try the splatter brush too. I haven't actually tried that on here yet, but you can just move it around a little bit. It doesn't really matter how you start off. Just get some ink onto the letter. And then once that layer is dry, then you can start dropping more ink on top and start getting, you know, different effects. Okay, I just went ahead and got my other brush here. It's just easier to move around on this particular surface. So once you have a little base going, then you can start creating more of that other effect, similar to this one. And the great thing about these letters are they have just a slight little lip. So when you move the ink around, it will actually stay in that area. It won't go over the edge. So you get some really neat looks that way. Now you can paint in between the lettering if you want, or you can leave it plain. Whatever you like to see there is whatever works for you, really. But I do like to blend it and move it around onto the letters here. And again, I don't have any blending solution onto this. You could add it, I suppose, but it's really not necessary here in this particular case. So okay, I'm just going to continue with this one, and then we'll move on to the red one, and I'll show you how I did that one. And then we're going to start embellishing with our little press cuts in a moment. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so the A here, I'm just going to brush on a little bit, and other than the metallics, because they're highly pigmented and they've got more pigments in them, obviously, it's harder to move around. And with the regular inks, then it's much easier. So you can see here how quickly you can spread this around onto your lettering. And again, no blending solution, just straight ink out of the bottle and onto the lettering. So I'm going to put a little bit of red in here as well, just kind of mix that up so I get a little bit of a deeper color, but I'm still in with my pinky hues because That is, of course, one of my favorite colors, the Senorita Magenta. And if you haven't already tried the Jacquard line, the Pinata Exciter Pack, you really should, because as far as I'm concerned, they really are superior in the colors and the vibrancy. And I'm on a couple of other groups on Facebook for alcohol ink and resin and other, type groups. And there seems to be some inks that fare well and others that don't. And I'm finding that, especially if you're using resin over products, some inks tend to fade or run, that type of thing. And I don't have that problem with this particular brand and this particular line. So if you are having issues with your inks, when you're sealing them or coating them or doing whatever with them, then I would recommend you try a different brand. And maybe, you would like to try something other than Jacquard, but give different ones a try and just see how you do. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that for a minute so you can see how well this drops onto the letter here. And I'm going to put a little bit of gold in here as well, just to spread it out. Because as you know, I really love gold. And I use gold metallics in all of my work. A little bit more on the A, and then I'm going to move on to the final letter here. So I'm going to finish all of this, and then once that's done, we'll put on the little embellishments. All right, I've finished all of my letters with my gold and my pinky red, and I'm going to go ahead and use my first cutter to create some branches. And this is the first one that I mentioned. And actually, this is by EK Tools. And yeah, like I said, it's a really heavy duty brand. So I'm gonna go ahead and start using this one. So all you do is you click this little button and it opens up, and then you can look at the reverse side. So then you can see exactly where you're going to be placing your mold. So you can see through there exactly where it is. And literally you just punch through, and it kicks out a really pretty piece of cutting. So there is my first branch. So I'm going to do a couple of these. See how they turn out. Okay, put that aside. And you can see here how pretty those are. So I think what we'll do is start adhering some of these onto the letters. Now you can use a couple of different adhesives. I use a lot with my projects just a medium or heavy body matte gel. This is by Liquitex. I use this a lot for a lot of my projects. And I use that in particular for mounting my Yupo paper to wood panel. All of my work is done on wood panel, so if you wanted to check out that video, I have a video for that also. Or the other thing that I like to use and use quite frequently too is the Easy Tack by Krylon. So whatever is easier for you. So I usually have both of these nearby, and I work with both of those. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick a few down. Now they look kind of pretty overlapping, but I probably will end up trimming the edges with a little bit of an X-Acto knife. But let's go ahead. I think I'm going to use the Krylon here for this particular piece. Just be easier. And like I've mentioned before in other videos, you want to just kind of let it sit for, maybe 30 seconds or so. And just so that it builds up a tackiness and you're able to then adhere it to your surface. So just kind of let it air dry for a couple seconds, and you'll know because it starts feeling tacky. And you'll be good to go. I think this one's almost ready. Let's leave it a couple more seconds here. And let's see, maybe we'll start adhering one here. And I'll just leave that there on that one. And I also like when it's not a solid piece and you have a little bit of, difference here. Let's put some on the A. Okay. So you can see obviously the direction I'm heading with those. So I'm going to leave those aside for a moment, and then I have another piece of Yupo paper that I've obviously mixed the metallic and the pinky red, and I'm going to cut out the circular ones and place those on the gold so we have opposite effect on there. So let me get my other little cutter here. So this is the confetti one, and the same rule applies here also. So let's just go ahead, pick an area, and woohoo, pop a few out. So continue that. And this is kind of pretty in itself. I might do a project with that, who knows. Been making a lot of circles lately, actually been cutting them out by hand. I have had a series of mod minis, and if you don't know what mod minis are, they're little mini art squares that I've created called mod minis, and you can sit them on your shelf or hang them on your wall, and they're all handmade on wood panel 4-inch little squares. And I just launched a new website the other day, and they sold out. So if you're interested in checking my work out there, I'll also leave my website down below so you can see my work. And all right, I'm rambling on, so I'm going to go ahead and figure out what I want to do here with a couple. I might get some lighter colors. I got a few other little pieces here, and start putting those on as well. Now I think I'm actually going to use the glue here. Just might be easier. Dip in my pen and brush and glue. Start gluing some down. Okay, so I'll continue on and we'll come back and I'll show you what I use as a sealer if you do decide you want to seal any type of alcohol ink on really any surface. It's the one thing that I've tested and seems to work the best so far. I'll come right back and show you that. Okay, so I have one more little branch that I'm going to stick on here, and I actually have been using the spray. It's much easier on these pieces. Just to remember, don't oversaturate and let them sit down too long because it can make the ink run a little bit. So just be aware of that. And I'm just going to stick this one, I think maybe over here. Stick that down. Okay, just move that over there to dry. And then once all of your little pieces are dry, then I like to use just a small little pair of scissors, and then you can actually just go ahead and trim off the edges until they're nice and clean. So I'm just going to go around and trim all these off. Wait till they're fully dry. Of course, this isn't quite fully dry, so I'm just taking a step too early a little bit. I should probably wait a little bit longer, but it's not too bad. The Krylon does tack down fairly quickly. So I'll go ahead and trim these up, and then I will show you the varnish that I then use. Okay, so I have finished all my lettering and all of my little embellishments, and wow, they turned out really pretty. I'm really pleased with these. So they'll look great on a mantle with some, lights in between them with some greenery. I think they'll look really pretty. So you could actually leave them as is, or you can seal as well. If you want to take the extra step, you can. So the product that I've been using recently is the golden polymer varnish with the UVLS. Now this is satin. You can get gloss as well, whatever you prefer. If you're doing it over Yupo, then gloss is actually nice as well because it sort of keeps the brilliance. You can also dilute this with 2 parts of the varnish to 1 part water. If you want to actually spray it, you can do that as well. So I have actually tried spraying it with my little sprayer here, and it seems to work okay. I have tested it on other colors and nothing has changed color as of yet, but if you want to just test it yourself just to be sure, then you can do so. Just make sure you obviously use a really clean brush. It doesn't activate the inks at all, as far as I have experienced, and it seems to dry nicely and leave a pretty good finish. So I'm gonna go ahead and just finish varnishing all of these. Okay guys, here is the finished project, all nicely settled onto my mantle, and I put some greenery and lights around, so it really gives it a really pretty effect. I hope you enjoyed watching this video today. Please give it a thumbs up if you found value, like and share, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for weekly art videos. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate your time as always, and we will see you guys again real soon.